just ringing the bell, so it's late.
Yeah, I was trying to talk with you about that. Oh, that's a good idea.
Good morning. We invite you to find your seats and prepare for this morning's service. On behalf of the Worship Committee, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia. My name is Laura Culler, and our minister is the Reverend Stephen Robinson. We stream all Sunday services on YouTube and Zoom, so you are always welcome to join us in any way that you choose. For more information about UUCC, please visit our website, uucolumbia.org, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We also provide a weekly email update every Thursday. We welcome families with children and provide childcare during our services for infants and children up to age 4. To be a volunteer, please see Bethany Storlazzi. I'm not sure if she's here today. Not here today? Okay. We do have a seating area at the back of the sanctuary, especially for children age 4 and 7, and as well as their parents. You can bring toys found at the back to the social hall for them to engage in quiet play. Today, children and youth over 4 will attend CYRE classes after the Story for All Ages. We do have several announcements today about book club. We are happy to announce the formation of a new women's book club at UUCC. The organizational meeting will take place this Thursday, the 17th at 4 p.m. in room 10. Please bring a couple of book titles for consideration. We also have an announcement concerning today's Blessing of the Animals by Linda Brennison. Linda, will you please come forward?
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everybody. Today is a very special day. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon, and we're having our 14th annual Blessing of the Animals on the Hayward Street lawn. You may have noticed the tent. We're going to have 2 speakers. First of all, we're going to have Reverend Stephen Robinson with the blessing service, but we're also going to have a special speaker by the name of Jennifer Bonovich. She's a vet, and she is a member of the Street Dog Coalition. The Street Dog Coalition is a nationwide organization of vets who help homeless pets, and by that I mean homeless folks whose pets are homeless along with them. And she's going to speak about that. I think that should be very interesting. If you'd like to come and you can't bring your dog, like I'm not going to bring my dog, but because I'm going to be working at the event, but I am going to bring his picture, which can be blessed as much as in lieu of Pugsley. His name is Pugsley. And also, if you don't want to do that, you can bring your stuffed animal. Stephen will be glad to bless your stuffed animals or your picture or your actual pet. Please bring them on a leash or in a crate. And we're going to have treats for folks and treats for animals. So hope to see you there, 3 p.m. on the Hayward Street lawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Each year, UUCC participates in the Columbia Pride Parade. Shane Randall has an announcement about preparations for the parade. Will you please come forward?
Good morning, everybody. Hey, so with the Pride Parade a little less than a week away, we still have some preparations to make in order to get the float ready. That being said, following today's service, if anyone's interested, and I can borrow a brief moment of your time, there will be a small planning meeting so that we can go over things that we need, things that we have, and who's actually who can we get to decorate, what decorations do we have, what decorations can we get, things of that nature, so on and so forth too. Also, if you haven't seen it, there is a sign-up sheet with a little guide that I made this morning in the back where the vote.
Yeah, on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you haven't seen that and you're interested in signing up to volunteer, provide decorations, or whatever it is you can or may be able to do, you're able to sign up there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now please silence all devices as we center ourselves for today's service and listen to the prelude.
For the prelude this morning, I've chosen All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. Words are attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, who lived 1182 to 1226. This is hymn number 203 in the gray hymnal, if you would like to follow along with those wonderful words.
Thank you, Kathy. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in the congregational covenant as found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant with one another. Thank you. Please be seated. Unitarian Universalism is a diverse and non-creedal religion. Our community is founded on deeds, not creeds. We are a covenantal religion, which means that we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other the same, with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. We place love at the center of our values, embracing and welcoming all people. Our board members and community chairs welcome your comments, questions, and suggestions. Board members wear green name tags so you can easily find them. We would like to welcome any guests or visitors who are with us today. Would you please get the mic? So visitors, please wait for the microphone. If you're willing and able, please raise your hand and share your name and where you're from. If you have guests with you, please feel free to introduce them.
Is that the waving of a flag? Go take her. Go ahead. Good.
Morning. My name is Fernando Long. I'm from Newberry, South Carolina.
Welcome, Fernando.
Welcome.
Okay, I was here last week, but today is kind of special since 74 years ago, I was born. So, on this very day. So, nice to be here.
Going once.
We're the Brashears. We came a long time ago, and we're back. So,
Okay, another chance.
Gone. If you want to know more about UUCC, please fill out a visitor card and place it in the collection plate. We will email you about our events, and the visitor cards available are at the back of every chair. Our chalice lighter today is Nina Grossman. She is the chairperson of the Animal Ministry Club department.
I would just like to say a few words, and that is to reinforce everything that Linda Brennison said about.
Use the microphone. You can use the microphone.
I just would like to say a few words, and that is to reinforce what Linda Brennison said earlier about our event this afternoon. We're having a blessing of the animals, and we've had 14 of them, so we ought to be able to get it right by today, but there's no guarantee. You all are invited whether you have a pet or not. This event is not intended to be humorous, but if you attend, you will find it has its degree of humor in it. But it's good-natured, very good-natured. Everyone gets along well. We have fun, we have food, we have water. We have treats for the pets. We have take-home treats for the cats. So if you have a cat at home, don't think you can't come because the cat's not going to get anything. We have special bags for the cats, too. So we'd love to see you. The more the merrier. It's at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Please come.
Thank you, Anita. We always have a lot of dogs, but we welcome cats if you feel comfortable. We welcome other mammals, and we've had reptiles in the past. We have birds. We've had a chicken before, a snake, a bearded dragon. So whatever pet that you feel comfortable bringing to this environment, the service lasts about an hour. I am more than welcome to bless, warm-blooded and cold-blooded alike. And I just want to thank the committee that Anita chairs, the Animal Ministry Committee, for their great work in organizing this event every year. So give them a big thanks.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you, Stephen. You good?
So speaking of birds, our opening hymn was chosen by Anna Hamilton. It's hymn number 15, The Lone Wild Bird, written by Henry R. McFadden, who lived 1877 to 1964. I'll play it through once, and then please stand when you are willing and able, and join me.
You may be seated. I want to thank Kathy for doing our music today in Anna's absence, who is traveling, visiting family in Michigan. Our opening words today come from Kate Forster, and she writes, "I think it's a deep consolation to know that spiders dream, that monkeys tease predators, that dolphins have accents, that lions can be scared silly by a lone mongoose, that otters hold hands, and that ants bury their dead. That there isn't their life and our life, nor your life and my life, that it's just one teetering and endless thread, and all of us are entangled with it as deep as entanglement goes." Invite any young person that would like to come down for our story for all ages. Please join me down front. We are, if you notice, they're all bringing something down. We're going to do a little blessing of the animal service today for friends that they brought. And if you didn't bring one with you, I have some to spare over here. All right, does anybody need a stuffed friend, animal friend? We've got shark, octopus, got a bear. Everybody got one? I got one. Anybody else need one? I need one. Yeah. Yeah? Anybody else need one? You need it. Let's see, we got a crab. Anybody else? Luna's looking around like, hey, those all came from my toy room. So make sure if you grab one, to put it back in the bag. Otherwise, I'll be in a lot of trouble when I go home. We're okay. Lydia doesn't have one? I think Lydia needs a San Francisco sea lion from Pier 39. Well, I am going to bless all your animals. Everybody good? Very good. Hold up your animals. Hold them high in the air so all the big people out there can see. Look at all those great animals. All right, you can put them down. Put them back up again. Put them down. No, we're not going to play Simon Says, even though that would be fun. So, somebody tell me about your stuffed animal that you brought. Who wants to do that? All right, go ahead.
This is Husky.
Husky.
I have a sense my dog named Odie.
Nice.
This is Peter. I really named him Peter after my cat named Peter.
Awesome.
I named him when I got him back. And this one, I haven't named yet, but I'm going to call it Valkyrie for today because
Awesome.
I'm a cat that hides a lot. So I'm making it hide a lot.
That's a hiding cat. All right, so we'll keep them hidden. So I know, somebody else want to share? All right, go ahead.
This is Frederick. They are very well-mannered goats. They cross their legs when they sit.
Wow. Nice to meet you, Frederick. You behave. He said he's going to behave, right? Oh. All right, somebody else want to share? Yep.
This is my bison, Mr. Bison.
Nice.
And this is my hamster named Cassie.
Wow, that's awesome. A doggy, that's right. Over there?
This is from Buana.
That's right. Do you know the name? Pua. It's 2 weeks in a row we've had a pig here in the sanctuary. Yeah.
My name is Finn, and he's from Avery Island, LA.
Oh, nice. And he's got a bottle of Tabasco sauce. All right. All right, that's a crab that she knows nothing about other than it's a crab. All right, well, I know you have such great friends, and as some of you said, they remind you of other animals in your life, right? So that reminds you of your kitty cat, yeah? That's right. So today we're going to have a really special service right outside on the lawn where we recognize that all these animals are so special to us, and so we want to offer them a blessing. And so I want to get you to help me bless your stuffed animals this morning, and we'll say what we say for the blessing of the animals. So you ready? So here's what we do. So one of the good things I get to do at the Blessing of the Animal service is I get to pet and love on all those animals. So do that for a second, kind of give them a little pet on the head. All right. And we look at them in the eye. Can you look at them in the eye? Does yours have an eye? Yep, they have an eye. All right, look at them in the eye and say, I love you, just like that. And here's what I want you to say. You ready? He always wins. Yours always wins the staring contest. All right, you ready? Repeat after me. Say, we love you. We hope you always have a full belly, a warm place to sleep, and a family that loves you. So today, we bless you. All right. That's how we bless the animals here at the UUCC. So thank you for bringing all of your special animals down. If you grabbed one from the bag, make sure they get put back in the bag over there. And thank you for being a part of blessing these special creatures in our lives. All right. All right. You can put them in here if you got them. That's right. That might be a turkey, actually. Yeah. I think I might have called this turkey a chicken. I'm so sorry. I don't, at least I was in the right, species. Almost as fun as this afternoon. Today we create a time and space now for our Candles of Community. And I want to offer you this opportunity to come if you have a candle of joy that you would like to share, to do that briefly with the congregation. We also have opportunity to share those heavy burdens and concerns that you're holding. So I invite you to do that at this time.
This candle is it's going to be sad, but it's going to be happy too. After the service, we are going to have a reception for the McLaughlins. Mary and Morgan have been members for 51 years. They have attended all the different buildings that our church has been part of, and their son Malcolm is here to help with the move. He's not here right now, but he'll be here for the reception. So anyhow, please speak to Morgan and Mary. Give them good wishes for their trip to Sacramento. They have a house there, and they'll be moving. So yeah, this is.
I'm I'm Mary McLaughlin, and I'm getting up for another reason, which is I just learned that Marilyn Knight died on Friday. She was not a member here, but she taught in the English as a second language program and was the mother to Peter and David Knight. And her former husband, Jamie Knight, has been coming when he can to Matthew's concerts. But anyway, sorry about her loss.
Good morning, I'm Sharon Givens, and mine is today a candle of joy. I have the honor and privilege of having the artwork in the social hall, and I would invite all of you to spend some time reading the text that's on some of it is just outstanding, some of it is uplifting, and some of it will just make your heart sink. But it's just my joy to share all of this with you.
I'm Kevin McKinney, and once again, I have a candle of gratitude, but also of excitement because we've reached a milestone in our UU the Vote campaign. The gratitude is thanks to all of you who've participated, at least 53 writers who've adopted letters. We have a few left, but I anticipate that by, 12:30 or so, we probably will have adopted all 1,300 names that we had gotten. We've got about 1,000 of them back already. We have 500 in the mail now, which is what the exciting part is. And yes, the gratitude part is if you're among the 300, or if you're among the adopter of the 300 or so letters that we still have out there, please do get them in because I'll be so grateful for that too. Thank you for all you've done. And I should probably restate the obvious and say that the mailing window is closing. So we have basically 2 more Sundays to get them back in. So yeah, don't delay.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Stronach, and I'm going to light a candle of joy for our daughter Tammy, who's probably watching from Maine right now. After 30 years in South Carolina, with just now Bill and I for family, we moved her back to Maine, where she has been wanting to go for quite a few years, and has an extended family that can kind of look out for her, and a cousin who is just this awesome, her name is Wendy, and just an awesome Wendy, an awesome woman who is taking care of most of this for us. So this is a candle of joy for Tammy and for Wendy.
Hello, I'm Benjamin Swain, and this is a candle of joy and sadness. I'll call it a little bit of half and half, but it's not that bad. It's joy because I'm in my 3rd week of my new job after a year and over almost 2 years of having to do a mix of door dashing, seasonal part-time jobs, and commission work. I finally am back in a full-time position, and this is my 3rd week. But the sad part is that unfortunately I will be missing out on getting to see all the neat animals this afternoon because I have to go to that job.
I'm Deb Matherly. This is a both sorrow for Linda Dr. Fennell, whose husband died, I think 2 Sundays ago. And I think she might be here, or she's planning to come here today. And also a request that people, if you can join the book club next Sunday. It's talking about democracy in chains, and it's really important information to share, and whether you've read the book or not, it'll be good. So it's on the website. Oh, it's on the Zoom, and it's on at 7 o'clock, and it's on the church calendar. So you should be able to find it easily. Thanks.
I'm Connie Quirk. We were so busy with UU the Vote and getting ready for the Fall Festival, we've kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but this Friday is the Pride Parade.
Shane was talking about it.
Everything that you need to know will be in the e-blast on Thursday. It starts at 7. If you want to help decorate, you come at 6, and it's always a lot of fun.
Stephen, I'm going to need one of those very special candles that you have under there. I'm Linda Brennison, and as Unitarian Universalists, we place love at the center of our values. And so with great love and respect, I want to wish Linda McLeod a very happy 80th birthday. Her birthday is Monday. Happy birthday, Linda.
By special, Linda means the extra box of candles that's under. A lot that we have shared today, both joys and concerns that we have on our hearts. So I invite you to just take a few deep breaths and remember all that you've heard. Thank you. As we prepare for our offering, just a reminder that our Share the Plate recipient this month is the Cotton Branch Farm Sanctuary, and we will look forward to inviting Josh back at the end of this month to share about their good work. Invite our ushers to come and receive our offering.
For our offertory this morning, I have chosen a very special tune called To a Wild Rose, written by Edward McDowell, who was a late Romantic era composer, American composer. A wild rose is a symbol of creativity and inspiration and beauty and love. And this is the first piece in a series of pieces by McDowell called Woodland Sketches. He loved to be in the woods. And I encourage you all to imagine all the creatures of the earth and sky as you listen to these beautiful notes, and especially because we have so many windows in this building, I encourage you to think about a yellow butterfly fluttering around these windows. And if you're interested in why I say that, I will tell you a very special story at the end of the service.
We receive our offering today, a symbol of our commitment to our good work. In March of this year, 2024, we said goodbye to a researcher and professor that ended his career at Emory University in Atlanta, who understood this day and the blessing of animals quite well. Even though he wasn't necessarily a religious person, he understood what it meant to both bless animals and be blessed by them. Dr. Franz de Waal, who was the Charles Howard Candler Professor Emeritus of Psychology and former director of the Living Link Center for the Advanced Study of Ape and Human Evolution at Emory University, died at the age of 75 on March 14th from a long battle with stomach cancer. From his groundbreaking work in 1982 called Chimpanzee Politics, which is a fascinating book I would invite you to read, learning about chimpanzees and other species of monkeys and their politics and how that mirrors our own politics as well, and maybe even something to learn. And then, of course, the book in 2019 that was called Mama's Last Hug, Animal Emotions and What They Tell Us About Ourselves. His entire career was spent shattering these long-held ideas about what it means to be animal and what it means to be human, and how it felt like those were so very different. George Romanes, who was a protege of Charles Darwin, actually took some of Darwin's later works and tried to connect those ideas of animal consciousness and human consciousness in the late 1800s. But his theories were often dismissed as either anecdotal or anthropomorphic. And one of my favorite quotes from Franz de Waal was, oftentimes he's been criticized of anthropomorphizing the primates that he studied. And he said, well, that's what we do to ourselves. We anthropomorphize ourselves as well. So I'm glad to take that compliment. For nearly 100 years after the work of Darwin and Romanes, the subject of the social mind of animals really kind of stayed in this form of taboo in the scientific community. In the 70s, there was a neuroscientist by the name of Donald Griffin that published his research called The Question of Animal Awareness, the Evolutionary Continuity of Mental Experience, picking up that work from the 1800s. Had all kind of observations suggesting that animals have thoughts worthy of exploring, and that it was possible to do that in a scientifically objective way. The dean of the School of Biology at Emory University said about de Waal that Donald Griffin opened the door just a crack, and then Franz pushed it wide open, and the rest is history. De Waal wrote hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific articles comparing primate behavior and human behavior, demonstrated the roots of human nature and our closest living through the studies of conflict resolution among the primates, reconciliation, cooperation, empathy, fairness, morality, social learning, and culture in chimpanzees, bonobos, and capuchin monkeys. He was the first to use phrases like fight, makeup, and reconciliation in observing these primates. And his impact reached far beyond the academic world through his history working and studying in zoology and working at the zoo in Netherlands, where he was born, to eventually coming to Wisconsin and then being recruited by Emory, who they built a huge primate facility, observation facility there at Emory. He proudly had his office just above the facility and a little porch that he could walk out and observe this beautiful facility where they studied different types of primates, including the human freshmen at Emory that were showing up. As he would often say, those were some of the most fascinating to study. I had a chance to actually hear him speak when I was in seminary. We had a partnership relationship with my school at Mercer and Emory, and our professor of ethics said, you should go and hear this guy speak. And so we did what we were supposed to do because it was extra credit toward the very difficult theological ethics test that was coming up, and we all needed that. And so we all showed up and listened to him talk about both the facility but also his lifelong work. About a week later, I was shopping at a grocery store where I lived in the Snellville area, just northeast of Atlanta, and I saw him in the produce aisle. I was like, hey, are you Dr. DeWall? And he said, no, I'm just a guy buying produce. But we had a great talk and eventually figured out that we lived about 1.5 miles from each other as he lived in Stone Mountain and I lived in Stone Mountain area myself. He was born in 1948, tremendous guy. The Netherlands where he was born, he trained as a zoologist and ethologist at 3 different universities, received a PhD in biology, and he was renowned for his research involving primates and was mentored in that field. For his dissertation, he worked on a colony of chimpanzees at the Arnhem Zoo in the Netherlands, which led to his first major discovery that chimpanzees make up after fights. He discovered that by observing a fight that took place between 2 over some food, and this is a story he shared when I heard him speak. And he said the next day, early in the morning, he observed the 2 same chimpanzees hugging and shaking hands and then picking bugs out of each other's fur. So I know we've been talking a lot about here, the board has been interested in how we handle conflict resolution at the UUCC, so we have a model for it. That's exactly, we hug, we shake hands, and we pick the bugs, even if they're metaphorical, out of each other's furs. He said, I discovered just seeing how these opponents would come together after fights, they would kiss, they would embrace, and I never had any trouble getting primatologists interested or convincing them, but other scientists were always skeptical that there was that kind of reconciliation. So I made it my life mission to conduct enough experience and collect enough data to convince the world. And instead of describing it in a scientific term, he came up with a term called post-fight affiliative contact. And he called it reconciliation. This word that before he named it that way was only reserved for human behavior. No history of someone studying something as complex as reconciliation in animals. He faced a lot of challenges because he looked at these questions outside of the mainstream understanding of animal behavior and research, and he constantly carved new ways of understanding. Even after he retired, he continued researching and writing with a book that came out in 2022 about bonobos and chimpanzees and what we learned from them about sexuality and gender identity. In his research, Franz de Waal showed us that many animals are predisposed to take care of one another, to come to one another's aids, and then sometimes, in some situations, make life-saving action to rescue another. He found that chimpanzees care for mates that are wounded by leopards, that elephants offer reassuring rumbles to youngsters in distress, that dolphins support sick companions near the water surface to prevent them from drowning. And he always would ask the question, do we do the same for each other as human beings? On our best days, hopefully we care for each other that way. And he would typically ask the crowd, don't you think the best of our behavior is we take care of each other that way? crowds, and I was one of them in a crowd that answered that question, yes, of course we do. And he would always follow up with, why don't we take care of them the same way? He produced great evidence on the emotional world of animals, rats that express joy when they're tickled. He had a very well-known experiment where proving that fairness mattered to monkeys. When the two monkeys had performed the same task, one was offered a piece of cabbage, I believe, and another was offered the very prized grape, which was the special treat that they would get for doing the same task. And he notes in his experiments and videos that when the monkey receives the cabbage, he's more than content and enjoys the cabbage until he looks up and sees that the other has received a grape. He said, I will never forget the look on his face when he realized all I got was cabbage, because he's seen it so many times among human behavior. He also noted that pigs experience hope, which we know because if they're raised in decent conditions, they anticipate that pleasurable things will happen to them. Emotions, he said, are everywhere in the animal kingdom, from fish to birds to insects, and even in the brainy mollusks such as the octopus. And of course, one of his monumental works that I believe he did a TED Talk on that you can see was about Mama's last hug. Mama was the animal of the book's title. She was the matriarch of the chimpanzee colony at the Burger Zoo in Arnhem in the Netherlands. She was a very skilled negotiator. She exerted influence over other chimpanzees in the group, and she was one that de Waal had tremendous respect for and a lot of affection. He said, I've never sensed such wisdom and poise in any other species other than my own. 37 years ago, he wrote in Chimpanzee Politics that Mama was the matriarch not only of the colony, but of the zookeepers as well. In 2016, at 59 years of age, she was very near death, and an elderly friend who had taken care of her that she had known for 4 decades, a biology professor, Jean Van Hoof, visited to say her goodbye. And I would bet that you have seen this video before as Van Hoof crouches down towards the chimpanzee. Mama reaches up for his head and gently strokes his hair. And de Waal, who was watching the event take place and the video take place, recounts that her fingers just rhythmically patted the back of his head and neck, reassuring her friend that everything was going to be okay. And everything was going to be okay for her, and everything was going to be okay for him. I can tell by some of your reactions you have seen that video of Mama, which is the focus of one of his later books, Mama's Last Goodbye, where de Waal takes that story and then explodes a book with 23 other stories and encounters of humans and animals, demonstrating that kind of mutual affection and empathy with each other. We talked about principles last week and the new Article 2 work. And one of the things that I hold dear out of our older principles is that interdependent web of existence that we are a part of, that we covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. All beings, not just ourselves, all beings. To paraphrase Brittany Michelson, she says, in our interconnectedness, we should acknowledge that all beings have the capacity for love, for joy, for pain, for fear. So there's a lot of language out there about connection to animals, but what happened to make them something that we had to relearn? If you had any doubt that animals hold a close place in my heart, all you have to do is go to YouTube. It's a little embarrassing. Pull up the video sermon from last week, fast forward to the share the plate, and watch my reaction as Josh is bringing those 2 pigs up to the stage. I wanted to share that with my daughter, who I thought would find that so funny, and I pulled it up and watched it, and I thought, oh, I look like a little boy. That's so excited. I couldn't contain it. Animals have always been so very close to my heart, and I remember visiting my Cherokee great-grandmother in her room at the nursing facility where she lived the last few years of her life. She had a bird feeder outside of her room that some of you probably experienced this, also doubled as a squirrel feeder. Acknowledge if you know what that's like. But she would talk to the birds as they came, and she would go, oh, look, that bird seems a little confused today. Look at the bird, and it looks just like the other bird. And she would say, what are you confused about? And the bird, I kid you not, maybe I'm just misremembering this at the young age of about 6 or 7, but I remember the bird kind of looking at her and going, I'm not confused about it, I'm fine. Like, what are you confused about? And the squirrel would come up to the bird feeder, and she would say to the birds, he's here, are you willing to share? The birds would all fly away, and she would say, I guess not. And then she would talk to the squirrel. She would go over and look at the squirrel in the eye and say, make sure you leave enough for the birds. And that will impact you as a kid, because as a kid, you kind of think that's normal anyway, and to have an adult doing that and talking and having that kind of relationship with animals is powerful. So when we talk about the interconnected web or the inherent worth of all of these creatures, I don't really just picture human beings. I picture all beings. And we don't allow them what they are due. Animal rights are not a gift that we give to animals. It's a birthright that sometimes we take away from them at birth. I read an article about a puppy mill that was discovered where dogs were rescued, 46 dogs rescued from a puppy mill, living in 6 inches of feces, their coats pounded with pounds of matted fur, causing pain and blindness, the smell of ammonia that was unable to get out of their skin. Some of them so bad that they had to be sedated to be shaved and cared for. Some of them were able to be medically rescued. 7 of them died, even though they received emergency care. 46 counts of misdemeanors handed down. Realizing that we're not treating these like fellow beings with a need, with a right to food and water and a clean place to live. Their fear and their confusion didn't matter to people who do those things to them. And we could turn our attentions to the factory farm animals, probably the hugest animal rights issue in our country. Matthew Scully, who's the author of Dominion, in a landmark book in the animal rights movement, wrote in his book, Fear Factories, that these bright, sensitive pig dangling by a rear hoof as it's processed along, squealing in horror, the veal calf taken from his mother, tethered, locked away in a tiny stall for all of his brief, wretched existence. It would make us sick to watch, and yet our demand for the resulting products, the demand causes us to turn a blind eye. We don't want to think about the slaughter of beef or the violence against pigs, females confined to metal gestation crates, males controlled by being struck on the snout with a board or a metal bar, called boar bashing. And that's just an example of the abuses. Then pieces of their bodies wrapped neatly in cellophane in the meat section of a supermarket. They become faceless, without emotions, personality, or connection. They're just food. And we could go on, looking at the industry of chickens and dairy animals. Ironically, all those animals that we see abused, Franz de Waal said, when they're being abused in these places, will often show care to each other. Wall said he read a story about an animal rescuer who was trying to get away with a downed sheep for veterinary care. And one of its companions had managed to escape with them and leaned her head down to nuzzle the friend that was clearly distressed and would not leave its side. The downed one cried, bleating softly for help from both the sheep and the human, and the rescuer would not leave. When the rescuer tried to pick the sheep up and take them away, the downed sheep, the rescuer sheep, the friend sheep just grabbed by the fur and held on. And DeWall said the rescuer had no choice but to just take both of them to the vet together. This is what today is all about for us. It's about learning to grow in our understanding of what is our principle and what is our value of how we relate to and understand our animals and our web of existence, our connection and our web of existence. And if you come to the blessing of the animal service today, you will see the love, the connection, the joy, the mutual care, the attempts of both the animals and the humans to train each other and keep each other in check. Sometimes I don't know, if you look at our blessing of the animal service today, it's hard to tell who's in charge on which end of the leash. But what I do know is there's a lot of love and a lot of joy and a lot of care, and we're aware of the ways that we are connected. Thank you. We are aware of all these ways that we are connected to these animals who are a part of our family. But there's also room for us to grow and to widen that circle. One of the fundamental beliefs in many nature-based religions and among pagans, and also developing in our UU identity, is that all beings have a sense of divinity in them, and to bring no harm to any of them. For in harming the creatures of the earth, we are showing a form of disrespect to the deities that we honor. Thus, when we help to heal the earth and its creatures, we are honoring those deities. We have agreed that we have to honor all beings, not just human beings. And in honoring them, we have to fight for their well-being. Albert Einstein said, our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures. So perhaps maybe today we can start with one issue that we can grow in showing animals kindness. Maybe we can decide to make a difference that we've never tried before. Perhaps we're already doing it. And maybe at the end of the day, divinity might turn out to be more about empathy, mutual empathy, than anything else. I think about Franz de Waal every year during this service and often quote him during our service. I find myself grieving that I didn't follow up on his invitation to spend some time together since we live so close. I find myself grieving his loss, but celebrating his contribution. And I remember that he said that in our attempts to bless these animals, we discover how blessed we are to be a part of this deep connection to all of life.
For our closing hymn, Anna chose We Celebrate the Web of Life. It's hymn number 175 in your gray and silver hymnal. And please join me in song after I play a brief introduction.
Dr. Franz Duval will provide our closing words today. He writes, "Closeness to animals creates the desire to understand them, and not just a little piece of them, but the whole animal. It makes us wonder what goes on in their heads, even though we fully realize that the answer can only be approximated. To endow animals with human emotions has long been a scientific taboo, but if we do not, we risk missing something fundamental about both animals and ourselves." Please join me in our congregational benediction. I want to thank again, big thanks to Kathy for stepping in on our music today. Let's give her a big hand. If you're visiting with us today, we invite you to stick around, get to know the Mary and Morgan because they're leaving soon. But that means you get some food if you do stick around, but also get to know the rest of us. And you may ask, if you're thinking about this being a home, why Mary and Morgan would make it a home for 50 plus years. They both joined at the age of 3, by the way. And of course, don't forget our Blessing of the Animal service at 3 o'clock, just out on the lawn down Hayward Street. Thank you all for being a part of this service.
So I didn't have to choose a postlude, but I chose one that was written by Hal David and Burt Bacharach, and made very famous by a Welsh singer. And it goes something like this. I'm dedicating it to my lovely kitty cat, Marshmallow.